Corey, the question for you is why and how do I keep learning when my school situation is uncertain?
Um, Thank you, Casey. That's a very valid question, and I would posit that many people's jobs and overall financial stability are uncertain as well. But in terms of how it relates to the students and parents of school-age children that are with us, I would say that now more than ever is the time that education matters. There's a portion of the population that has all of the resources it needs for their children to be successful in a virtual world. They have space for multiple children to work independently. They have adequate Wi-Fi. And most importantly, they have a parent or a caretaker that is able to be at home with them that can offer the needed support. These children will more than likely find success in the virtual world. But on the other hand, there's another portion of the population that may not have all of the resources it needs for all of the children in their household to achieve at the same levels of success, whether that's the adequate workspace, reliable internet, or even sufficient food for everyone for every meal. To top it off, there may not be an adult in the home that can offer the needed support because most likely they're essential workers. So there's a strong possibility that without the proper setup and appropriate resources, these students might fall behind. And the chances for recuperating that lost information are beyond fathomable. So why do you keep learning? None of us are certain how long this pandemic is going to last, right? The fact that most of us ended school 3 months early has already widened that achievement gap. We need to offer all students equitable instruction with equal access to the curriculum so that those students in that second example don't fall further behind, thereby decreasing their chances to access to higher education, better paying jobs, adequate health care, and a better overall quality of life. So that's the why. The how, there are 4 ways that I'll talk about for the how. And I think that this will help level the playing field. First, it's vital for the parents that are on this call to review the policies that your individual school or school district has provided you. Whether they have chosen to go fully virtual, fully in person, or hybrid, the plan on reopening has been shared with you, or it must be shared with you. And this information should be reviewed with your child and the expectations for showing up to class understood and adhered to. Second, please ensure that your child has a dedicated and adequate space to work that is preferably not the bed, right? This is school for the foreseeable future, and their attendance is still required. And third, students, please maintain a regular schedule. So being at home might feel as though it isn't really school or that you'll have plenty of time to get your assignments done. But what may be missing are those in-person interactions that you typically have with instructors or those frequent check-ins, and you think that you have more time than you do have to get those assignments done. So you have to create a schedule of when you are going to work and when you're going to plan to get those assignments done. And lastly, I would strongly suggest a regular check-in on your school's platform for posting grades, whether it's PowerSchool, Schoology, Canva, Illuminate, Google Classroom, whatever system your respective school uses. Just make sure that you check in on that. So many schools require grade book updates weekly, so a weekend check should suffice. And so that is the how and the why I think education should still be approached in this day and age.
I love that, Corey. Thank you so much. Wonderful insights, practical, reasonable, and manageable. Really, the bed. I'll admit, really, that's the hardest thing to do. Of course, is don't use the bed as your office or for the kids. And I think I have to go talk to my kids now. And schedule. You know, that's such an important piece, Corey. I'm just going to touch on that before we move on. Is the schedule piece? That's tough. And if you talk about leveling the playing field and what creates discipline, what creates habit forming things are those small things like schedule. And really that doesn't take, yes, if you have technology, that's awesome. If you've got a calendar online, there's multiple platforms. Our platform, in fact, has a very full functioning calendar in it too. For that reason is we really want to help our student athletes understand the idea of time management. And time management comes from simply putting on the calendar when I'm going to do something. And it's sort of a promise to yourself, right, Corey? I think is to say, I'm going to do homework at this time. I'm going to take a snack break at this time. I encourage my kids, and I've talked to lots of other kids and say, put in everything. Put in everything that you think you want to put in, including when you want to go out for a stretch, when you go for a walk, when you want to go take snack time. Put that all in, and let's kind of put that into motion. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we have like a chalkboard wall, whatever the case may be. If it's a whiteboard, if it's a sheet of paper that you put on the refrigerator, whatever the case may be, a schedule with highlighted areas for when you actually do take those breaks. So you set your goal, and then when you reach that mark, then okay, I can get up and I can get a cookie or get it out or whatever the case may be. So you have to set what you have to do, then set that goal, and you can get your reward at that time, if it's an ice cream cone or whatever it is. But you don't get that if you don't reach those levels. But I think that if you have it in a prominent place, like I said, whether if it's on the refrigerator, if it's wherever the most frequent gathering spaces in your home, because it's not just you as the child, it's the child and the parent or the grandparent or whoever the caretaker might be, and you have to hold each other accountable. You really can't do it by yourself, and it really requires a village to help us get through this time right now.
Yeah, absolutely right, Corey. And I cannot understate the value, or overstate the value rather, of calendar. It's that simple, important, and of course, following it is important tremendously. And we have lots of ways to get reminders today. And so I think that's such a great thing that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So thank you very much, Corey. We'll come back based on time, but thank you so much for sharing the value and importance of academics. And just regardless of what that situation is. And I've spoken to so many families across America as part of our Athlete Foundry Reach. And it's amazing to hear the phenomenal spectrum of situations. They're just all over the place. And so, Ricky, what are those fundamental things that boil it down to say, you don't need super fancy things to do certain behavioral traits to move forward? And I love the schedule piece. Thank you so much, Corey.